And we're on to chapter 12. So I am discussing stress and stressors. So for me, I always considered stressors to be things like the stress you feel right before a test, or the stress that you feel right before a deadline is coming due and you haven't completed nearly as much as you wanted to at that time. According to the book, stress is a cognitive, affective, or physical strain or tension that produces mental tension or physiological reactions that disturb the body's normal state of function. In a cognitive, affective, or physical strain or tension that is produced, mental tension, Then stressors are defined as specific activities, events, experiences, or people that induce stress. This is ultimately interpreted by the individual experiencing the stress. So my accounting teacher causes me a great deal of stress, but obviously, as we aren't sharing accounting teachers, he doesn't cause you any stress. I had not really considered the idea that stressors would be different for different people. I mean, it makes total sense now that I've read it, but I just always assumed that, everyone gets stressed for a test, and that stressful situations were stressful for everybody, which is why they were called stress. I do think it's interesting that stress intervention can be applied by changing your perspective on the situation or better preparing yourself. Like, that is obviously something that I kind of knew, given that if you study enough, tests are not as stressful. I still feel like they're very stressful, but that's me. Moving on to the second question. Like stress, we frequently find conflict in organizations. So, for this particular section, I find that I experience a lot more vertical conflict than I do like horizontal conflict. In my previous job, I did experience quite a bit of horizontal conflict, which did actually lead me to relocating to the job I have now. But for the most part, it does definitely feel like most of the conflict that I experience is on the same level and generally a vertical level, and it's generally someone not wanting to share responsibilities, or someone who feels like they have more right to be doing something than I do, or something of that nature. So vertical conflict was defined in the book as conflict that you're having with someone that is on the same level as you in a department, and then horizontal conflict is where you are having a conflict with someone higher up in the chain of management. So then the last question for the night is the chapter discusses conflict management. The one that I decided was the most effective was the collaboration. And the reason why I feel like collaboration is definitely the best way to go to resolve conflict is because in the end, everyone feels heard. You're maintaining your relationships. You're making people understand that your way is not the only way and that you are hearing what they have to say. It's really important to identify the needs, determine your own needs first before you're approaching the other person. Once you have determined what those needs are, you go to that person, you listen to what that person's needs are, and then try and come up with a shared understanding of what the problem is in a supportive manner. This gives you a bridge that you can both use. Think of as many ways to compromise as can satisfy the needs of both people involved. Once all the solutions have been created, it is then time to pick the best solution and then implement that solution. So, in doing that, it definitely means that yes, you may have not come out with a solution that meets all of your needs, but you can always evaluate at the end to see if the solution is in fact the best fit and revisit it with the person that you're having the conflict with and see if there are any adjustments that can be made to make everyone happier. That's all I've got for you tonight. Have a good one.